I should probably play something.
What is it, 10:30?
10:26. I'll play something.
Warming up music.
Yes. Ooh. Oh, what coffee is this? Oh, that's acidic. Pardon? It's acidic. You know what I think we need this morning? I think we need some Charlie Brown music.
On your mark.
We do. We need some Charlie Brown. Here. It's from, it's the Charlie Brown song. This one's called The Masked Marvel Music, so it's from a certain episode.
You got the original Peanuts one.
I got this for a birthday gift when I was a teenager. You'll know this song. I'm not going to play the main one or everyone's going to be like, this is the skating episode.
Oh yeah, yeah I do.
He's my favorite composer, Vince Guaraldi. to keep going?
How are you, Tim?
Test.
I'll have to turn it on. He wanted to save battery. Mr. Rogers,
Charlie Brown.
that's Charlie Brown.
That was our prelude. Thank you very much, Jessica. That was wonderful. I have to actually learn that song in the jazz band I'm doing. So, we're going to start this morning with a rendition of the gathering song, Here Together, just to get our breath and warmed up and that kind of thing.
So the words are on the back of your
Slip.
order of service. Stand, sit, dance, clap, and sing loud. 1, 2, 3. We are
Here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place. We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place.
Oh, it sounds better every service.
Good morning, and welcome to the Universalist Unitarian Church of Halifax. A little bit of comedy here. I had done up the short form order of service, and I had Halifax Universalists. I was going to be a little bit of a gadfly of contrarianness, and Andrea changed it on me. Thank you, Andrea.
I thought it was a typo.
This year, we are a lay-led but very active congregation whose mission is to provide a community that nurtures personal and spiritual growth, practices inclusiveness, celebrates diversity, and affirms individual and collective commitment to community service and social justice. I am James Morris, a member of the worship committee, and I'll be leading the service this morning. My pronouns are he and him, and it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this, our meeting space and sanctuary. A special welcome is extended to those who are new or who we haven't seen in a while. Welcome and welcome back. All are invited to stay for fellowship and lively conversation, not to mention great coffee, in our coffee hour following the service. If you would like to be on our email list, please leave your name and email address in the guest book in the adjoining ballroom. And if you would like to introduce yourself, please wave, and I will bring a mobile mic to you. Everybody's just getting settled. Okay. Today's service should be quite interesting, where it is part of a meaning-making in liminal times project, a worship and adult education collaboration sponsored by the Saskatoon Unitarians, which involves several Canadian ministers. The service this morning will feature reflections from two of those UU ministers. Although the stated goal of the project is to join with other Canadian congregations to explore 6 important questions through worship and conversation, another aim is to experiment with new ways of doing church. The hope is to demonstrate the possibilities of collaboration between congregations. Together, we can do so much more than any individual congregation could do on their own. This Sunday service was developed collaboratively. After the publicity or material was created, Reverend Deborah Falk, who was scheduled to do the service on her own, heard Reverend Danielle Weber preach in Toronto. Their ideas were so complementary that Deborah invited Danielle to participate in this service. So today we will have the benefit of listening virtually to a video recorded earlier this month of these 2 speakers who I will introduce later in the service. Announcements. Sure.
First, the Tuesday lunch bunch will meet on Tuesday, and the roofing continues, but it looks like maybe they're not slinging shingles off the roof, so we'll kind of move around them. Don't park in either driveways if you drive here. So Tuesday noon for Tuesday lunch bunch. And on Sunday, the 5th, is Canvas Kickoff. After the service, we will have a lunch, and it's not exactly a potluck, but if you would like to contribute soup, sandwiches, or sweets, there's a sign-up sheet over the mantelpiece, and we would appreciate that. Sunday the 5th.
Love your sweater.
Thank you. That's okay. Is that okay? It's never okay without that big step stool. Thank you. I see so many people wearing masks. That's really, really great. There are masks out there. We'd like to see more masking in the sanctuary. I read this morning that right now 1 out of 19 Canadians currently have COVID. So it's a thing, and I keep hearing of people in the community, our community, not like in Halifax, there's lots of COVID around. So I wanted to say that. And next week, after service is our SAGM, and I think Pam Berman, our new secretary, is sending out the package quite soon, and there'll be a hard copy on the welcome table as well.
So I'm certainly glad that Riley is here because, yeah. Just very happy that Riley Friesen is here with us as our technology guru. We're going to start the service substantively with an opening video. It is entitled The Honorable Harvest, created by Robin Kimmerer, and Riley will cue that up for us now.
If I could choose just a single element of the traditional teachings that we're called to pick up, it would be the teachings of the honorable harvest, which were taught us by the plants, who give us everything that we need. It's a covenant of reciprocity between humans and the living world, a very sophisticated ethical protocol. One of the first steps of the honorable harvest is to understand that the lives that we are taking are the lives of generous beings, of sovereign beings. And in order to accept their gift, we owe them at least our attention. To care for them, we must know what they need. And at the very minimum, we should know their names. And yet, the average American can name over 100 corporate logos and 10 plants. Is it a surprise that we have accepted a political system that grants personhood to corporations and no status at all for wild rice and redwoods? The protocols for the honorable harvest are not really written down, but if they were, it would look something like this. When you get to the woods, you don't just start grabbing everything in sight. We're taught never to take the first plant that you see, and that means you'll never take the last. This is a prescription with inherent conservation value. And then if we encounter another plant, we ask permission. I've always been taught to address that plant, to introduce myself, and tell it what it is that I have come for. If you're going to take a life, you have to be personally accountable for it. I know there are places where if you talk to a plant, they think you are crazy, but in our way, it's just good manners. If you're going to ask, you have to listen for the answer. You can listen in different ways, pragmatically, intuitively. Look around, see whether those plants have enough to share. And if the answer is no, you go home. For we remember that they don't belong to us. And taking without permission is also known as stealing. And the Honorable Harvest counsels that we also take in such a way that does the least harm and in a way that benefits the growth of the plant. Use everything that you take. It's disrespectful of the life that's given to waste it. The next tenet of the Honorable Harvest is to share it with others, human and non. The earth has shared generously with us, so we have to model that behavior in return. And a culture of sharing, we know, is a culture of resilience. Plant gatherers often leave a spiritual gift behind, but it can also be a material gift. Weeding, caretaking, spreading seeds, helping those plants to flourish. We give songs, we give ceremony, we give our respect, we give fertilizer. Every breath that you take is a breath that was made for you by plants. And the water that you drink, whether you're in an urban setting, whether you're on a remote mountaintop, we still are recipients of those gifts. And if we take the time to be grateful, that brings us into that state of humility, of understanding that we are not at the top of a biological hierarchy, that in fact we are the younger brothers of creation.
Some lovely images there. Now, as we prepare ourselves to enter into sacred space, I'm pleased to have the opportunity to read a land and climate acknowledgement written by Leslie Robinson that echoes and expands upon the video that we've just seen. Leslie tells us the honorable harvest concept is part and parcel of Indigenous cultures around the world, including here in Nova Scotia, where we live on the ancestral lands of the Mi'kmaq. A major cause of the climate crisis has been the abuse of nature's natural benefits, but changes in the wind. From organic agriculture to sustainable forests, from community gardens to foraging for nature's foods, people are reconnecting with nature's bounty with a new enthusiasm. This is good to see and a source of hope for a healthier planet in the years to come. We're at the chalice lighting, and I now invite you to take a few deep breaths. We entered into this time that we call worship, where we turn with intention to the things that are worthy of our attention. And we do this by lighting a chalice. Our chalice lighting words this morning are an adaptation of the reading 515 in the Great Hymnal. They have been slightly altered from the hymnal version. Please follow along, and Linda's going to do the reading. You won't get bored with my voice through the entire series.
If you were with us for Thanksgiving, you may recognize these. We lift up our hearts in thanks. For the sun and the dawn, which we did not create. For the moon and the evening, which we did not make. For food which we plant but cannot grow. For friends and loved ones we have not earned and cannot buy. For this gathered company, which welcomes us as we are from wherever we have come. For all things which come to us as gifts of being from sources beyond ourselves. Gifts of love and life and friendship, we lift up our hearts in thanks this day. We light this chalice of gratitude that gathers us, illuminating these and so many blessings.
And now Jessica will lead us in hymn 347, Gather the Spirit, our opening hymn.
Unique delight.
light the chalice.
Oh, we need to light the chalice.
Thank you, everyone. I will lead you in something. 347. Gather the Spirit. You can stand or sit, whatever you prefer. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store. Nature in love and conscience refined. Body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Turn the page. Gather the spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall. The chorus of life resounding as one. Everyone, gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again.
We bring our hearts into this sacred space of community and we open them up to each other, for each other, so that those of us who carry pain might be comforted by the presence of a loving community. And so those of us who are happy and well might share our joy and see it multiply in others. So those of us who carry complex truths might find a welcoming place to process and make meaning of all that life brings. This, our community well, holds all of our stories. It is a place we come to be held and loved, and the water reminds us of our connection to each other, to all life, to the earth itself. So if you have a story, a joy, a sorrow, or a complex truth in your heart that needs to be spoken in community, we invite you to share. And we invite you to drop a stone in our well of community to mark your story and remind us that you are not alone. We're going to use the mobile mic, which has low battery.
No, it's fine.
Yes, Larry.
I get to go to a dinner, I guess, this afternoon in Menuti, which is 2.5 hours away, for the volunteers who kept the summer opening that many tourists see, one of our oldest Universalist churches in Canada.
It should be enjoyable.
Oh, see, yes.
just for information's sake, we at UUCH have been sponsors and helped the local branch of the Canadian Mental Health Association over the years. And right now, their signature fundraiser, because despite having the name Canadian in it, they are not a government agency. They are an agency that was started by some parents years and years ago. And so the Mosaic for Mental Health is at the Craig Gallery, which is in the Dartmouth Farmers Market location at Alderney Landing. And it's open this afternoon, not long hours, but you can check the website of the Canadian Mental Health Association for the hours that the Mosaic for Mental Health is. And the little 5 by 5 inch paintings from created by people who, this is the first time they ever did things, to well-known artists, and they all cost the same amount. And so please support them.
I will put a rock in for you.
Who does? Cynthia?
Okay, I'll take a deep one. I've been dealing with, on an ongoing basis, with really intolerable physical pain that I've been dealing with for a long time, but it's getting worse and it's affecting my ability to do things like my independence, I should say that, and mobility. So, here's to health.
Thanks, Cynthia. Hope you get treatment and help with that.
I'd just like to put this in for the pain and the unimaginable violence that's taking place in the Middle East right now. It's unfathomable to one point, and perhaps not so unfathomable to see the world wake up and going, I don't really understand what's going on there, but they all have an opinion on what they think's going on there, and it's the result of a whole bunch of spin doctors over the last 70 years. I'm not entering in that conversation, but the violence and the suffering is immense and hard to bear to learn about.
Thank you. Just I'll get you to turn it off. Thank you. I'm going to add one more stone.
Sorry, we got one from Mary Francis.
Okay.
Just let me know.
Yeah.
Hey!
Hi. I'll
Bambino.
here's a little joy to end with. Hopefully for most. This is Flannery. I don't know if folks can hear me, but thanks for that. Yeah, that probably weighs just as much as she does. But this is our first live virtual service, so hopefully we make it down there in person so people can have a closer, real look at what Flannery's up to, which is mostly sleeping. Nice to see folks.
Good for you, she's sleeping.
All right. See everyone later.
Thank you, Mary Francis, for sharing. That's wonderful.
hold the red button.
Okay, if we can pray for my friend Wendy Stone, whose arthritis has made it that she's unable to walk right now, and her business is cleaning and organizing, and so she's always on the go, and it's very difficult for her to do this right now. So if we can, the doctors can find a way to get her immune system working properly again, please and thank you.
So we're going to move forward to a musical offering from the after choir, which is only two of us. Playing a little duo.
Oh, I bet you on that. And I'll move this thing. No, I can get you on the camera.
If you can, yeah, sure. So this is a song by a band that I quite enjoyed named Brother Son. They've disbanded to do individual solo stuff, but this is one of their songs that seem to be thematically connected to the service today. And the chorus, if you want to try and sing along, is love is the water that wears down the rock. That's repeated. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. So that reoccurs about 3 times in the song.
You say your heart's been turned to stone. You say you want to be left alone. You say you love only one, make you weep and moan. Well, let me tell you something that you know in your bones. Well, love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. You say your soul's like a dry riverbed. Stop waiting on the water, long ago you said. You better pray all night for the rain instead. Love comes like a tidal wave over your head. Well, love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. You think waiting for love takes too long. But those in sharp minds and weakness are strong. Well, you may be right and you may be wrong. 'Cause love can make a mountain tumble down. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Thank you. So we're going to move into introductions of these speakers who are giving reflections today, as I said, sort of remotely from an earlier service. Our first speaker, Reverend Danielle Weber, she is a white queer minister living in the traditional and unceded territory of Okanagan in Kelowna, BC, with their partner, Adam, and their 95-pound lab dog, Bryn. They decided to become a minister in 2012 while completing a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology and religious studies and completing the Masters of Divinity in 2016 and Master of Arts in Leadership Studies in 2018, both from Meadville Lombard in Chicago. Danielle's divinity thesis focused on building relationships between the Indigenous peoples of southeastern Alberta and the Calgary Unitarian Church, where she was a student minister. Their leadership studies thesis focused on creating relationships between churches and other nonprofit organizations to develop community engagement and leadership development. Throughout their education, Reverend Danielle focused on multi-generational, multicultural faith formation, recognizing that we can create moments of meaning making no matter what we are doing and how we are gathered. Essential to Reverend Danielle's work is bringing to light the expansiveness of Unitarian Universalism through leaning into interdependence and recognizing that faith formation can happen everywhere. UUs can become radically inclusive in creating space within our communities for those already here and for those joining. So this will be reflection one of 2 videos we get a chance to enjoy this morning. And Raleigh will now cue up the video of Reverend Danielle's talk entitled, "Can We Give What We Get?"
Good morning, everyone. I would like to start my reflection with deep gratitude to Reverend Deborah. Thank you so much for asking me to participate in this incredibly meaningful service and project. A few weeks ago, I was having a conversation with my father about one of the jobs he was on. He's been driving buses for wine tours here in the Okanagan Valley. The British Columbia Christmas Tree Association was coming to the Okanagan, and they asked my dad's company to take them on a tour of some of the farms in the area, as well as for a wine tour. In conversation with these farmers, my dad discovered that they only harvest a maximum of 10% of their entire crop on any given year. Some of these farmers have 500,000 trees on their land, but they would never harvest more than 10%. How could they? Next year's trees would be too small if they harvested everything in the same year. The teachings that are shared in the Honorable Harvest have been popping up everywhere in my life recently. And I'm not sure I would have seen them if intertwining together so eloquently if I did not have this framework and the concepts of generosity that are shared in Robin Wall Kimmerer's book, Braiding Sweetgrass. I am a settler here in Canada. My ancestors come from England and Scotland 4 and 5 generations ago. My Weber ancestors settled land in Manitoba. They were farmers who were given stolen land by the Canadian government to farm and help create industry and community outside of what is now called Winnipeg. My Bolt ancestors settled land in between Saskatoon and Regina, and I still have family members farming on land in both of these places. On land that was given us, stolen by the Canadian government and given away, as if land is something that we can own or control, 4 and 5 generations ago. When I was listening to some of the stories that my grandfather and my mother were telling me about these times on the land, of living on the land, I was amazed, and I'm awed, because the practices that they had are not the practices I see or hear about now. Before my grandfather died, he told me about practices that his family had in the 40s and 50s. He told me that they belonged to a cattle share with neighboring farms. Every 2 months, one of the farms would donate a cow to be butchered so that all 6 families were able to feed together with one animal. This would allow them all meat year-round. The practices of reciprocity, of coming together to share the harvest and the hunt, was a survival mechanism for them. The first electric deep freezers did not become part of society until the 1950s. So before this, my family would not have been able to keep the meat if they had to have only their own cows. They needed to share the surplus in order to use all of the product with little waste. Similarly, my mom told me that one of her jobs on the farm was to pick the bugs off of the potato plants and feed them to the chickens. Pesticides had already been in regular use for decades when she was a teenager, but the chickens needed feed, and they loved those potato bugs. I've been trying to write all of these little tidbits down in a notebook, this notebook. It contains all of the tips and tricks for gardening and preserving that I've been learning over the last several years. As a kid, my family had a community plot when we were living in Regina. And after school pickup, we would walk by and water it, or pull weeds, or harvest something. And I have continued to garden right up until now. One note that I wrote down in my journal recently was about harvesting carrots. If you have ever planted carrots, you know that the seeds are really tiny, smaller than poppy seeds that you would have on a bagel. But the seeds need lots and lots of space because each seed grows one full carrot. So you plant your seeds, and when the green leaves push up through the earth, you have to thin them out so that there's enough room for the root vegetable. We let those seeds, those tiny carrot seeds, plant, and then we pull out to thin the row, and those little thin plants die. Because what else are you going to do with them? They are too tiny to eat. But someone shared with me that if you wait until you start to see the root push up against one another, with all of the carrots bundling together like this, when they're visibly so close that it would hamper their growth, that's when you thin your carrots. Do it when they are bigger, because then you can put the carrot into a new spot, big enough to be replanted, and it will continue to grow when there is more room. My little notebook helps me remember that I need to be accountable to the life I am taking, that I need to ask for permission before taking it. Hey, little carrot, are you ready to be eaten yet? Or should I replant you in more space? I'm doing my best to abide by the answers. It's also my new phone, as Trapper Lionel calls it in Braiding Sweetgrass, loading data into our bush computers, all of the details of our harvest and honorable practices. Another piece of information that's been bombarding me recently has to do with the compensation for work and the value of our time as people and as employees of companies. I'm hoping that most people listening now will know who Warren Buffett is, an investor, a philanthropist, and the CEO of a company called Berkshire Hathaway. Additionally, Forbes magazine has listed him as the 5th richest person in the world. The amazing thing that I found out recently is that Berkshire Hathaway has one of the smallest ratios when you compare the CEO to the median wage of the company. An article published in May of this year stated that Buffett's annual salary at Berkshire Hathaway is $100,000. And the average salary at his company is $54,000. So that's a ratio of 2 to 1, almost 2 to 1. Imagine how different our world would be if the other billionaires were to share their riches in the same way. Another example is Elon Musk. He is the 2nd richest person in the world, and he's the CEO of Tesla. His salary ratio is 1 to 40,569. Robin Wall Kimmerer's Honorable Harvest speaks to this concept by saying, never take the first, never take the last, only take what you need. I don't think billionaires need a salary ratio of 1 to 40,000 in order to maintain their lives. One of our UU hymns states, "Our world is one world. Its ways of wealth affect us all. The unspoken principles that have been instilled in our society are actively causing harm. The knowledge of the land, the knowledge that the land is able to remember, but it has been forgotten by people." Kimmerer says, the choice is between 2 paths. The first, a deadly road of materialism that threatens the land and the people. And the second, the soft path of wisdom, respect, and reciprocity. We have the ability to choose which path. We have the duty to make a choice.
So I'm just going to do a short introduction to Deborah Falk, who's the next speaker under this video. She's a lifelong Unitarian Universalist who retired in 2021 as Minister Emeritus after 11 years with the Calgary Unitarians. She received a BA in Psychology and Anthropology from UVic and a Minister of Divinity from Vancouver School of Theology. She has served as chaplain at Vancouver General Hospital, Director of Religious Education in Vancouver, and parish minister to congregations in Alberta and Ontario. Reverend Flock has enjoyed substantial volunteer experience, including both in Toronto and Calgary Interfaith Council and the Calgary Alliance for the Common Good, where she worked collaboratively with labor and nonprofit to address systemic social change in the city. Currently, she is one of 2 BC reps on the CUC, the Canadian Unitarian Council Board of Trustees. Deborah, as a single mom, raised 2 children who have blessed her with 5 grandchildren. And Riley will now cue that second video, which includes her reflections on the same topic.
our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all, as do our choices. I'm setting my intention to follow the soft path of wisdom, respect, and reciprocity. And it is a journey. Since last spring, well, late February, early March, so spring for some of us in Canada, the idea of this project of meaning making in liminal times has been with me and has contributed significantly to, and in fact, directed that intention to walk the soft path of wisdom, respect, and reciprocity. As I sat in my early spring garden, pondering the project and a relevant topic to offer, I paused to watch a spider as it harvested a bug caught in the magnificent web it had woven. I was awed and humbled by the beauty of it all, the fullness of life and death, survival and creation captured in that scene, and the gift of my capacity to witness it, to feel part of and profoundly connected to it all. Can I possibly even begin to give what I have received so abundantly from this experience of living? While I didn't know at the time where it would take me, that moment and the thought inspired the title I chose, Can We Give What We Get? I wondered how, with the current state of the world, with so much loss, so much uncertainty and change, so much that diminishes our sense of well-being and connection, while heightening our sense of scarcity and anxiety, how might I hang on to this profound sense of connection and gratitude? Gratitude, I feel, is a theological concept. The medieval thinker, writer, and teacher, Meister Eckhart, is purported to have said, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. Gratitude has gotten me through a lot of difficult times. My personal theology that I had to articulate as a requirement in seminary 20 years ago used the yin and yang symbol, with gratitude being the yin, the inward, the receptive force, and generosity being the yang, the external, the outward, the active force in a theological framework. And this theology has held me well. It has been expansive enough to embrace me through the years, both in my own life and in the changing world around me, until now. One of the most wonderful things I think about our Unitarian Universalist faith tradition is the ability to change and expand our understanding as new awareness and insight comes to us. I'm very grateful for this. It's one of our aspirations to be theologically alive as we seek to be ever evolving in our understanding and open to new knowledge. Now, I still hold the theology of gratitude and generosity. However, there has been a deepening of my understanding. This has been evolving within me, of course, over the years. This project has been the catalyst for clarity and articulation of the what else. Gratitude and generosity continue to inform and direct my actions And yet there has been a sense of something more. You know that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts adage, a phrase attributed, I think, to Aristotle. It comes to mind the whole that is greater than the parts of gratitude and generosity, at least for me in this point of my discernment, is reciprocity. For reciprocity, though defined often as merely an exchange, is more than giving and receiving. There is an energy created, an emergent energy, a beneficial and sustaining energy. In our opening words, the author and teacher Robert Wall Kimmerer speaks of the honorable harvest, a sophisticated ethical protocol, a covenant of reciprocity between humans and the living world. It may well have been reading her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, when it came out 10 years ago, that started this shift within me. My own theology is echoed in her words. She says, generosity is simultaneously a moral and a material imperative, especially among people who live close to the land and know its waves of plenty and scarcity, where the well-being of one is linked to the well-being of all. And these lines particularly were poignant for me. Wealth among traditional people is measured by having enough to give away. Wealth is measured by having enough to give away. Hoarding the gift, we become constipated with wealth, loaded with possessions, too heavy to join the dance. And then she says that in a culture of gratitude, everyone knows that gifts will follow the circle of reciprocity and flow back to you again. This time you give and next time you receive. Both the honor of giving and the humility of receiving are necessary halves of the equation, my yin-yang expressed. She says that the grass is the ring, in the ring is trodden down in a path from gratitude to reciprocity. We dance in a circle, not a line. Thank you, Robin. You might know the adage that once one commits, all manner of things rise in support or to magnify it. Well, I have been astounded with how this notion of reciprocity has shown up. Much like Danielle, it started to show up everywhere. And it has become, if you will, an orientation. There are libraries now where you can borrow more than books. You can borrow things. Those things that are useful yet seldom needed, we do not need to own. This avoids, to some extent, that bloated with possessions. And shared ownership of homes and vehicles is becoming more and more common. The sharing economy has a name. It's necessary both for affordability as well as a choice of a way to live. I live in such a home. It is co-owned by 4 of us women, daily living out an ethic of sharing and striving for an honorable harvest lifestyle. One way is with gratitude, creating gardens for food and flowers for both the beauty and as pollinators. One of our raised beds was built in the Hugel method, with branches at the bottom, then layers of leaves and coffee and straw, compost, then soil. It had unintentionally become home, or perhaps a 5-star resort for rodents, who happily lived amongst the branches at the bottom, tunneled up through the layers to munch unripe tomatoes. So this has led us to consider modifying our crops, and we've joined a local garden exchange. We don't have to grow everything by ourselves, perhaps fewer tomatoes and more flowers to share. This adaptability is this considering of all beings is an aspect of the honorable harvest. And it reflects our faith's ability also to adapt to changing circumstances and understanding, as well as our expressed intention to affirm and promote the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. So many ways this concept of reciprocity shows up, some of them surprising to me. Now, I'm not usually a huge fan of randomly watching documentaries, but for some reason, thank you, universe, I watched an episode of The Blue Zone. I don't know if it's a series you've heard of, but researcher Dan Buettner, a National Geographic explorer and fellow and journalist, explores populations that experience both longevity and vitality. The episode I watched was about Okinawa, Japan. Relevant to this idea of reciprocity are the circle moais. It's M-O-A-I-S is how it's spelled. It's a sort of a social group. They were originally formed by pooling financial resources to help each other through hard times. But they have become now a key factor in the longevity of that population. Many of the folks there live into their 100th. Centenarians, many, both healthy and resilient. It is through these connecting circles, these social circles, that provide social connection and healthy resilience. And boy, did they ever have fun together. Moai means meeting for a common purpose. And these folks seem to have been enjoying the company and honoring each other's passions as a common purpose. This echoes in part what Danielle was sharing about the group of farmers each harvesting only 1 cow per year and sharing, seeing each other through and not wasting, cooperating and collaborating. Generosity is simultaneously a moral and a material imperative. We are recognizing more and more how linked we are. We are facing global crisis, not just individual, it's global. This is what's taken us into these liminal times. We see the devastation around the world in real time. How do we not numb to the reality and counter the doomsday narrative that is so prevalent? I think it's primarily by connecting, by deeply connecting with each other and with the world. The documentary also raised the issue of loneliness so prevalent in our culture as having an impact of decreasing life expectancy by 15 years. I don't know if that was a surprise to you. It was a little bit to me. It is supported by our, I think, culturally fierce sense of individualism. I can do it all by myself, thank you very much. And asking for help being seen as a sign of weakness. We need to share and receive and offer help to each other as an opportunity to connect and be part of the reciprocity circle. It's actually good for our health. I see our Unitarian Universalist congregations as moais, as circles of care and support places to share and care. Another way that being part of a spiritual community adds to our quality of life, even perhaps to our health and longevity. We meet for common purpose and with shared values. The Honorable Harvest asks that we respect the beings that sustain us, take only what is needed and use all of what we take. To minimize harm, share, be grateful, and live a covenant of reciprocity. This will shape our Deeper Dive workshop on October 28th and how we might do it more actively in our lives. Danielle and I hope you will join us. Our Unitarian Universalist values and aspirations ask the same of us: to recognize the inherent worth and dignity of all persons, and here I add human and non-human persons. To dismantle barriers of inclusion, to be deeply connected, to be radically inclusive. The power of connection and relationship, of covenant, is the gift of our faith. Let me close as we began with words from Robin Wall Kimmerer. She says, we are all bound by a covenant of reciprocity. Plant breath for animal breath, winter and summer, predator and prey, grass and fire, night and day, living and dying. Water knows this. Clouds know this. Soil and rocks know they are dancing in a continuous giveaway of making, unmaking, and making again the earth. May it be so, and may we make it so, as we recognize that our world is one world. Please rise as the Spirit moves you to join in singing hymn number 134, Our World is One World.
So like she said, number 134, Our World is One World. Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that wash around above, the clouds that cover us, the rain that falls. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes with love or hate, we make a bridge or wall. Our world is one world. Its ways of wealth affect us all. The way we spend, the way we share, who are the rich or poor, who stand or fall. Our world is one world, just like the ship that bears our soul, where fear and greed make many holes, but where our heart can hear a different call.
Now time for our offertory. Community is made possible by the offering of our individual skills, commitments, and gifts. The truth is that we need each other and money to survive. And yet, nobody's worth or dignity is in any way measured by the amount of money that we have or don't have to give. So during the offertory, we invite you to offer what you can, if you can, to support the sanctuary of progressive spirituality. Pam, do you know where any undesignated money is going?
I haven't heard from the committee that are figuring out the shed like, today, just, I guess, the work of the church.
Work of the church,
But
okay.
just a reminder about the roof. It's
Yeah.
3/4 done.
3/4 are done of the roof?
3/4 of the roof is done. And they will finish this week. So if you have to donate it to the roof, you can still do so.
Thanks, Heather.
Anytime.
For those on Zoom, she said you can donate to the roof at any
Anytime.
time. 3/4 of it is
The
done.
4 corners are done, the middle hasn't been done yet. But...
Oh, 4 corners?
No, I'm just joking.
Oh. See, I told you I'm good.
Dad jokes.
Yeah, so if you don't carry cash, you can donate by e-transfer to treasurer@uuch.ca. And thank you for your generosity this morning and throughout the year. These are some closing poetic words. They rhyme. It's kind of fun to read. May the circle of giving and receiving be unbroken, with mutual sharing at the center, a balance unspoken. In this knowledge, we practice the art of reciprocity, and as you freely give, in humility receive, may abundance be a virtuosity. May the kindness you offer, in deeds big and small, echo through time, touching many, inspiring all. And when we receive, with gratitude may it be, a reminder of the love that flows endlessly and free. May the balance of giving and taking be a guide in this delicate web of life where we all reside. As you share your gifts, embrace what's given in return. May reciprocity be a blessing, a lesson, and a way to discern. So we have one more chance to sing, I think, the closing hymn, Love Will Guide Us, number 131.
The workshop that she mentioned is going to be online, or is it very specific to her congregation? It's online.
Yeah.
Saturday.
The 28th, I think.
Saturday.
I haven't signed up for it already. It was a deadline for signing up, and it was last week.
You sent an email, I think. Great. Okay, I know a lot of you know this song, Love Will Guide Us.
1, 2, 3. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Love will
Guide us through the hard night.
Thank you, James. I love it when we have harmony, hey? That sounds good.
Chalice extinguishing. At this time, I offer these words. We extinguish the chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. The chalice is now extinguished. I can do one of these correctly. But its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each of us. So
So, as we finish our closing song, oh, not that one. There we go. I hope this puts a little smile on your face to get you through the week until I see you next Sunday. And the words are on the back of your service. We are to spend time together in this holy moment. Give us strength to go down the winding road until we meet again. Everyone, we have spent time together and this holy moments. Give us strength to go down the winding road until we meet again. And my prayer for you is a peace that's true until we meet again.
Thank you all for being here.
Go in peace.
Good morning, everybody. Anybody want to talk?
Sure, I'll talk.
Hey there, how's everybody doing?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Mary Frances, congratulations, she's beautiful.
Sure
Yeah,
is.
thank
Well,
you.
Yeah, it's the highlight of the service.
Oh, yeah,
But it was a good service.
she's just sleeping. She's
Uh,
snoozing through most of it.
That's a
my
good
thoughts
thing.
are not to rush being with a lot of other people.
Yeah,
Baby's health.
I know. Yeah, we're trying to keep things tight. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
good
I
to
know.
see you here.
Yeah, this is
Here
nice.
online. This is great.
Yeah, lots of people online. This is awesome.
That was a wonderful service today.
It was. That book, Robin Wall Kimmerer, is
Yeah.
amazing.
Have you read Braiding Sweetgrass?
I have. I'm
Yes.
going to read it again because once you've read it, you want to go back and reread.
I wondered if anyone would be interested in reading or doing some kind of reading and talking about it together. I was thinking, I had the book, I've looked at parts of it, I haven't read it all the way through. But I wondered if that would be a good book to discuss.